All right, so how you guys doing today? Now this right here is not normal in the message. Actually, this is not normal for me ever. This is normally something that this guy over here does, is he does this little tiptoe thing all the time. Watch it, it's pretty amazing. But not me, that's not what I do. But I figured this morning that we would play a little game. Are you guys ready to play a game today? All right, now this sets up what we're going to talk about as we start this series called Tribes, where we're looking at what does it mean to have deep-seated relationships with people that you would call your tribe. And we're going to find out this morning what tribe you're in based on the little game that we're going to play. And it goes a little like this. I'm going to begin to play a tune. The moment that you know it, you sing out loud and proud. Now, here's the deal. I'm not a very good singer either, so this works out for all of us in a fun way. And so you're going to start singing out as loud as you can, and then I'll eventually stop, and you guys are going to keep singing the tagline of whatever it is. It might be a jingle, it might be a song, it might even be the theme from a TV show. Are you guys ready? All right, see, some of you are a little like, I don't know about this. I'm going to give you, all right, we're gonna see. I'm going to give you a trial run, all right? So here we go. As soon as you think you know, jump in. Give me a break, break me off that. Oh, this is going to go great. This is good. This is good. Now, okay, now that's a freebie. It is going to get harder. So, for some of you, you're going to have to go way back into the memory bank for these. We're going to span. Now, I looked at the top 200 songs that are played, songs, jingles, you name it, that are played, whether it be on the radio, recognizable things. So it's like, all right, I have faith in you guys. You guys are my tribe. And so right now, a lot of you knew that one. Let's see. It's going to get a little harder. Are you good? All right, here we go. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. Oh yeah, this is fun. And after all, this, you guys, angelic. All right, it's gonna get, now, same era, different country, band, and coast. Sometimes I feel like I don't have a partner. Sometimes I feel like my only friend is the city I live in. The city of, maybe it's a cell phone up. Lonely as I am. All right, there we go. All right, we're doing good. I like where this is going. I had doubt. I'm going to be honest. I had doubts about the 8:30 because you guys are still waking up. But if this is how it's going to go today, we are going to have some fun. Now, we're going to fast forward a little bit to the last couple of years. Why this is on the top 200, I have no idea. If you're under the age of 30 or a teenage girl or have a teenage girl or a little kid, you may know this one. 'Cause if you like the way... Whoa, hold on. All right, I'm gonna start it and then you guys just take it from there. 'Cause if you like... What? We're going to pray for you right now. All right, and so we went there. I'm terrified that I was thinking maybe a quarter of the group. No. Bieber fever has struck Forefront Church. Oh, I don't know where to go from there. All right. I actually do know where to go. We're going to rewind, different genre. I know where this is going to go. All right, stop. Let's collaborate and Whoa, easy. It may need to stop. We're gonna start a support group for some of you guys. Though I want to be a rapper, but I shouldn't. Support group. Then this one will be easy for you. 'Cause oh baby, you got what I need. Whoa, all right, whoa. Some of y'all had too bad of a breakup at one point. Biz got you through it. Man, oh man. All right, we're going to shift gears in genres. I had no clue this would be this much fun. You guys are so great. We're going to shift genres. Now, this is more like rock metal, but this was one of their softer songs. Now, this is more of like that deep cut thing. So for some of you guys, you're going to be like, I don't even know. For some of you, I'm going to be proud of you. If the whole audience knows this, I don't know what to think anymore. Mind blown. So close, no matter how far. Get much more from the heart. Forever trusting who we are. Ooh. Wow, I lost a little bit of that because I was a little terrified. I was like, nobody's going to know it. And then I was like, wow, a lot of you guys listen to FM 99 because that's basically the Metallica station around here. And if you've ever watched them play, he always looks like he should have stopped to go stop at the restroom first. Like every time he sings, he's like, so close, no matter. Like every song, it's bad. All right, this one's built to throw you off. Completely different style, and this is possibly autobiographical. In West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground where I spent most of my days, filling out packs and relaxing all cool, shooting some b-ball outside of school, and a couple of guys who were up till noon started making trouble in my neighborhood. Got one little light, my mom got scared and said, y'all knew what Mama said. All right, that was good. That was good. The last one, as we get into this, I had no clue this would be this much fun with you guys. I thought that it would get exponentially rowdier as the day goes on, and it might. But you guys set the bar high. Now this one in particular, and this kind of, and so you guys have done well. It's interesting to see how songs connect us. In this song in particular, I remember sitting on the floor watching this, and as a family, and there was something about the theme and idea of this show that connected people, and especially during that era, that really spoke to the heart of what does it mean to have connections? What does it mean to connect with people on a deeper level? And well, when you know it, go ahead and belt it out. Making your way in the world today. Keep playing. From all your worries, it would help a lot. Wish you might get away. You know this part. Knows your name. And there, and you're always glad you came. And I love this part. You want to be where you can see. Troubles are all the same. You want to go where everybody knows your name. All right, you give yourselves a hand today. Now, here's the deal, and I'm going to lose this pick by the end of the day because I don't do this stuff. Don't you want that? I loved, and if you didn't know, that was Cheers. If you're like, what was that? There was something about watching shows like that and people coming in, and as soon as I walked in, everybody, Norm! And the whole place erupted. We all want that. And I've been thinking long and hard about this series for a really long time because honestly, I mean, we're supposed to be able to be transparent in this community. To say that I stink at this would be an understatement. I run from this idea of being together. And you're like, you're a pastor, shouldn't you totally like embrace that and whatever? And we'll smile and we'll high five and we'll hug. And then I get home and I'm just like, oh, I need to be alone. Because I'm terrified of what happens if I let people in. And this is something that you and I were completely designed and built for. We have this longing and desire to have relationships with other people. And there's a couple passages that I want to look at before we dive into this. And so if you have a Bible, I'd love for you to get that out and turn on over to Ephesians chapter 4. It's in the New Testament of the Bible. If you don't have one, we give them away for free at the Get Connected table in the lobby or right from your seat, so you don't even have to get up. You can go to forefrontchurch.info and click the Need a Bible tab. And you could download a Bible app immediately, or it has a link there for the Forefront Church app that has every single thing that we're going to talk about today right in there, and you could take notes and email that back to yourself. Because these passages here are absolutely mind-blowing about what it means to live life together. And these challenge me because, and I don't know about you, maybe you read the Bible and you're just like, everything is happy and rainbows and butterflies. I read some of this stuff sometimes and I go, God, why did you say that? Because I don't like it. Can I just like rip that part out? Can it be like Golden Corral or Burger King and I can just grab what I want, how I want it, and be done? But these passages challenge me in a thinking that I don't want to do. You see, if we always read the Bible and engage it and go, man, I agree with 100% of what happens in here, I would actually question your thought processes. Because the reality is there's going to be stuff that's a rub because every one of us has a bend away from God and connections, and we just want to do our own thing. And over Ephesians chapter 4, it talks about what does it mean to be in this kind of tribe. It starts in verse 15 and 16. It says, instead speaking the truth in love, we will grow to become in every respect the mature body of him who is the head, that is Christ. It's saying that we are here, the hands and feet and movement of Jesus together, that you and I need one another, and that when you're not here or when you're disengaged, that a part of the body hurts. It would be like if you went home today and you're just like, my toe really hurts, and you just went, boom, and just lobbed that sucker off. Now, I would not recommend that. Okay, but that is not only going to hurt, but your body, especially if you did the pinky toe, because it kind of keeps you up. You think that thing's not important? Lob that sucker off and see what happens. You'll be walking all kinds of crazy. Because each part of the body is important and needed. From him, talking about Jesus, the whole body, joined together by every supporting ligament, grows, and I love this, builds itself up in love as each part does its work. The body does not function fully without you a part of it. But I hear people get this argument, and this is the thing that I used to say to Christians all the time as I started believing in God, and then I was like, I don't know about church. I love God, I love that Jesus thing, but I don't know about church. Here's the reality is you and I can't separate those. That Jesus said that the manifestation of the movement of God is encapsulated within the local body with all our flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings. And so passages like this are brought up, and I used to bring this up over in Matthew. It'll be here on the screen. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am with them. And I go, see, all I got to do is hang out with a couple people. I don't need church. You know, the interesting part is we can yank a verse and make it say all kinds of stuff. Imagine even in any type of interview with any type of person out there, if they just yank a sentence out without the context, you can make it say all sorts of things. And so as we look at this, the whole passage actually talks about being together And even in that section, in my name, in the verses before it and the verses after it, talk about this. Being together and being apart, and what does that look like? And the early church painted the perfect picture of that in all of its craziness. And it's over in this passage. It'll be here on the screen in Acts chapter 2. It says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, and to fellowship, to breaking of bread, and to prayer. It's the way they do the same thing that we do. We're going to get together. We're going to celebrate God each week. And we're going to take communion later. We're going to take time to pray, and we're going to look at what does God have for us. That's the most basic function of the church, is to worship and then do the same from what they've learned for others. And it continues on, breaking bread, prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and signs were performed by the apostles' leaders there. All the believers were together and had everything in common. The believers can't be together if the believers don't get together. And so you and I, deep down at our core, it's why we love those songs. It's why we actually loved the premise of shows like Cheers, or even when we did this whole idea of like a shabby chic coffee shop, a show like Friends. What? Friends! It's like it was uncontrollable out of you. Like what? You had Friends Tourette's there for a moment. Lay hands on her. And we move through these, and this is why it's so deeply important that you and I are together in what we do. You know, growing up, I loved skateboarding. Just being able to get out there. I liked it mainly because you could do it by yourself. You didn't have to be a part of a team. You didn't have to answer to a coach, even though I was a part of teams, whether it be soccer and other stuff. But I loved that I could just get out and go. Here's the only problem with skateboarding. If you sit by yourself and you're not around other people, you're never pushed to move forward. And I found myself doing the same types of tricks on the same curb and on the same little ramp that my dad made for us. And it wasn't until I started meeting and hanging out and spending time with other people that valued that idea and that skateboarding culture that were better than me, that I started to grow in that and just had a ball being able to learn and move and breathe. And it wasn't until I was spending time with people that knew what they were doing that then all of a sudden I was like, whoa. Like, first off, a very simple thing. And if you have a kid that learns skateboarding, if you don't do anything else, do this. There's a way to properly, you could stand like at a batter's box in baseball. You can either stand righty or you could stand what? Lefty. All right, so if you stand righty on a skateboard, your front foot is going to lead. This is a very simple thing. And so if you have a kid and you let them do it the other way, I'm going to judge you. All right? And so when you push off on a skateboard, your front foot always stays on and you push off with your back foot. You never, when it looks like this, they push off and then swing their leg over. One, it looks ridiculous. You look like a caveman, and it's called Mongo. It's just like you look and everybody laughs at it. It just looks terrible. And so if you have a kid and you're teaching them, if you know nothing about skateboarding, now you know, don't let them look crazy, because then they're going to go somewhere and all the kids are going to be like, that kid looks crazy. And you could have saved them from it. And so when hanging around, but I was learned how to do it that way, and all the kids were like, hey, that's not how you push off. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, you look like a caveman. I was like, what does that mean? And one of the kids got on a skateboard and said, you look like this. And then you throw on, I was like, I do? And I didn't go back for like 4 days, where all the kids were skating. And I finally came back, they're like, so did you learn how to not do that? And I practiced for 4 days how to do it the other way. Why? But it was so great the way they, even because guys kind of do this, like in a kind of like razzing on me way, learning the culture. But when I did it alone, I had no idea what I was doing. I was reading an article from a few years back in Psychology Today, and it talked about loneliness. See, back in 1970, there was an 11 to 14% chronic loneliness rate. In 2010, the same study was done through AARP and the University of California, San Francisco, found that the rate had risen to 41 to 47% loneliness. You see, in our current culture, social media as a destination for loneliness increases the effects of loneliness by at least 68%, a Harvard study in 2010. And so you go there to find connection, and actually you're raising the level of loneliness in the process. Loneliness increases in early death rate by 27%. Not because you die of loneliness, but when you are alone, all of the different other medical things begin to rise because you're not taking care of yourself. Love this quote that was at the end of the article. Loneliness is rarely cured by work or even by neighbors. We found that the highest rate of people engaged in healthy relationships are those within faith communities. Places of worship routinely are linked to healthy, meaningful relationships. A distant second in our findings was clubs and organizations for adults. The number one place that people find healthy relationships should not be a shocker to you, is within the local church. I love the way that C.S. Lewis, one of the books that rarely gets talked about, is a book called The Four Loves. And he talks about friendship in such a unique and beautiful way. He says this way: in each of my friends, there is something that only some other friend can fully bring out. By myself, I am not large enough to call the whole man into activity. I want other lights in my life owned in all facets. Hence, true friendship is the least jealous of the loves. Two friends delight in being joined by a third, and three by a fourth, if only the newcomer is qualified to become a real friend, that they give, that they're not coming just to simply take. Then they could say, as the blessed souls say in Dante, here comes one who will augment our loves, for in this love, to divide is not to take away. That you wouldn't just have one singular friend, that you would have a plethora of relationships that would be down deep, a tribe that you could call on, that you can go to, that you can be a part of. And here is a simple but profound truth that is true of every single individual because of our bend towards sin, but what God designed us for. You see, you and I, you crave friendship because you were created for it. But you avoid it because you. You might say, well, no, Jason, I don't avoid it because of me. Like, I avoid it because other people are crazy. Like, Jason, I avoid it, and you may not say that out loud. You may say that in the quietness of your house to maybe your significant other, to another friend over the phone, but you go, I don't want to deal with people's stuff. But the reality is you were created for it, and the reason that you would choose to avoid it is indeed you, is indeed me. You see, we avoid it, we avoid friendship, and we think that we're going to avoid knowledge. That people's knowledge of what's going on in our life, the things that are happening, the things that are taking place, we go, if I just avoid friendship, well, then I'll avoid them knowing my pains, my hurts, my sorrows. And so if I just avoid connections, then I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. You see, but in every one of those instances, when you avoid dealing with your stuff, if you've ever been around a pressure cooker, or better yet, if you've ever gone and got a 2-liter bottle of Diet Coke, and then you've dropped some Alka-Seltzer in it and shaked it up, or maybe you drop some tin foil and things in there and shake it up, and then that thing just comes and expands. And well, if you continue to pile and pile and pile and pile and pile all of these things, you're eventually going to explode. That's why we offer things. You got that card on the way in. That's why we offer things like marriage workshops and seminars. That's why we offer parenting workshops and seminars. Because we know that life is better when we do this together, and avoiding it, and avoiding the idea that somehow if people don't have knowledge of my life, then everything will be fine, is completely flawed. Because people don't have knowledge, and then they can't help you, and then you explode, and then you go, why didn't anybody help me? And everybody's going around, we had no idea. Because you didn't let anyone know. The other piece of that is you avoid friendships because you think you can avoid hurt. Because you've been hurt at some point in time, and because a relationship wounded you, and I get this. Left for college, and my two best friends broke into my car and stole all of the audio equipment that was in my car. when I went away to college. I know what it's like for best friends to just completely walk away from you and betray you. I had a best friend who I worked with for years. Ended up going to jail because he committed all these crimes right under my nose, and I had no idea. No idea. I know what it's like to be betrayed. But that doesn't give us, that you're not protecting yourself by saying, you know what, I'm not going to jump into that because I don't want to get hurt. You're actually avoiding the mountain of hope from other relationships that could happen if you were to jump in and do that. And I know you think that you are being brave. You're not. You're living in fear, and it's actually, and I don't say this to be mean, it's an act of cowardice to run from relationships because you're afraid of getting hurt. Because the beauty of relationships brings out the best in you. We're going to talk a lot about that as we go through this series. I had a chance to go to this group called Rhythm in 20. I've talked about it a few different times, and I was terrified. It was 20 guys I didn't know in a place I had never been, in the mountains where it's secluded, and there would be like no Wi-Fi and no like cellular service. And I remember getting to the airport, and I called my wife. I said, I don't want to go. She's like, well, you're already in the airport. You're going. And I'm like, I don't want to go. And then I remember landing in Denver, and the first thing I did was find a trash can, and I got sick. Because I had so much anxiety and everything welling up in me, because I knew, it convinced myself that if I jump into this, I'm going to get hurt. You know, the number one prayer that I prayed from the moment that my friends broke into my car when I walked into Bible college, and they hurt me, God, I pray that you would give me a best friend. From that point forward, I had never... every person that I came to, I kept praying, like, God, bring me a best friend. Bring me a best friend. You know, right after I went to Rhythm, I remember coming back, and I had a phone call conversation with somebody here, and we started building this friendship. And I love this premise of God's favor. You may say, well, God hasn't done something in my life, and I'm not one of these big, like, you follow God, and we say this a lot, you follow God and everything's peachy keen. Like, you follow God and everything's fine. I don't believe that to be true. The Bible doesn't say that it's true. Actually, you'll still have hardship. But I will say this, when you follow God and obey his precepts, you're going to see things happen. You go, whoa, I'm surprised that took place. You know what? The moment that I jumped out of that fear and started following God, you know what God brought me? A best friend. I was somebody that 1, 2 in the morning, I could be on the other coast. And if I called this person and said, hey, I need some help and I need you to come, they would hop on the next flight. I had never had that before until I started following God and obeying him. And I want to teach you real quick some action steps that you could take. If you go, I want community, I want friendship, you may have that with some people, but you go, I want that here and I'm terrified of it. And I get it. You walk in and you go, man, I checked that place out online. I meet people that have come here for years and they only know like 2 people. And I go, why do you only know 2 people? Because and they go, well, why do I need to know any more than that? Or you come for a few weeks and you go, I want to find healing, I want to trust God, but like, I don't know about people. That's just weird. And I get all of that. But you and I are made to crave it. And so what do we do with that? So here's some very easy action steps. And I say they're easy because they're all based on choices. And so no matter where, well, my heart says this, and I've been wounded that, I get all that. The problem is you have choices. And nobody wants to say, well, because this happened, I can't. No, because you can choose to do X, Y, or Z. You have choices. And so here's very easy action steps. The very first one as we walk out of this is to step out. Making friends. My daughter, Roxy, we show up at Chick-fil-A. We pull up to the building and we're getting out. She's like, I'm going to make some friends. And I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah. She doesn't know their names, but we get back in the van. She said, my best friend just told me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? She has all the kids. Like, she's rallying them together. It's very Children of the Corn. And does that, whatever. We're adults. I'm going to say this out loud. Whether you're introverted or you're extroverted, there is still no difference in this. We, as adults, are generally terrified about making relationships. We walk in and we're just like, I'll be in a backyard barbecue, I'll eat that burger, I'll drink this beer, but I am not going to talk to you. I may play cornhole with you. I may throw some horseshoes. I may chat it up about the weather. How about those Bears? But we're not going to be friends. Or maybe you've had those forced instances where you're married, and then they're like, you'll be great, they'd be so much friend. You're like, I don't want to be that friend. My wife's done that to me a couple times, and then ended up like they were friends, and it worked out because she knows me better than I know myself. And you move into these instances, the first thing is to step out of your comfort zone and go, oh, God might actually be up to something, and I need to take the step. What I would love to see, and I do see it with some people, but most people just run out, is if you actually stopped and go, hey, like single ladies, single gals, this might not be the opportunity to be like, I'm going to go make a friend today. Like, this is not that. If that eventually ends up that way, awesome, but may the odds be ever in your favor. We'll just put it that way. But talk to somebody. This is a safe place. Don't run up. If you're a hugger, don't even run up like, I can't wait to find somebody and hug. Like, don't do that, okay? But you can walk up and go, hey, I've been coming here a while. Like, I see that you sit around. You guys always all sit in the same places. Those of you guys who have been here like a few weeks, and I know because I stand up here and watch you. If you walk in late and somebody's in your spot, you kind of freak out a little. I'm like, get over yourself. And talk to the people around you. The odds are you're not going to meet a serial killer. Like, you're going to meet somebody and go, oh, like they're normal, they're weird, but they're weird like me, so it works out. So step out. The next thing is pray. I prayed from 97 to 2013 actually, to start, God, will you bring a friend? It's quite a few years to just pray and not have anything. And God finally did. But you know what? He didn't do that until I stepped out. I prayed a lot, but I didn't do anything. The moment that I stepped out, things started happening. The other thing from that is if you have relationships, as you're making friendships, there might be some friendships that you need to move on from. And you might be like, I don't like that. I like them. Well, they might be toxic for you, and in your life, what you need are friendships that are going to build you up. Friendships that are going to help you along the way. Now, you're going to have friendships that you're the one pouring into, but sometimes you find yourself in a fragile state. The last thing you need are people that break you. And so you need to move through ways that you can find and go, you may need to move on. Here's the biggest one. Be honest with and about yourself. Maybe you're the reason that your relationships are broken. And if you can't be honest with yourself, then eventually you'll find yourself by yourself. And you won't have anybody to talk to except God. And so be honest about it. There might be some relationships you just go, I don't do that. You go, I prayed like I did for years. And I go, God, why didn't you bring me anybody? And I think if God spoke to me audibly, he'd go, because you did nothing. You asked me to show up, but you didn't go anywhere. I led you to places that you could be. The funny part is that person that's now like what I would say my best friend, for 5 years had opportunities to connect and I ran from him. Why? Because I wanted God to do the work, and God's like, I love you. You can do some work too. And that's a universal truth in a lot of the parts of your life. If you go, man, I don't know why God isn't doing this, and God's going, I'm waiting for you to get up off your tail and do something. Because this is what you and I are built for. You crave friendships because you were created for it. In my prayer, as we go over the next few weeks, is that you would choose to chase and embrace friendship. It starts right here. Would you guys pray with me?